everyone! Welcome to our 7th edition of EPPI, Encontro Paraibano de Professores de Inglês. We are here to present the 2nd edition, but in the virtual mode. So we are not, unfortunately, present with you guys, but here there is lots of affection, right?
Yeah.
So, I'm Liane, I'm a professor at the Federal Institute of Paraíba, and my sign is this.
Good morning, Liane. Good morning, everyone. I'm so happy to be here with you all today. It's the 7th edition of EPPI. I can't believe we are at the 7th edition of EPPI. So, sorry, guys, I have to put the interpreter, yes. Live transmission, it happens. So I'm going to repeat again. So do you want to repeat your introduction?
Yeah,
yes?
so
no problem. Yes.
Okay, so if you arrived right now, so we are here to present the 7th edition of EPPI. So this time we are on the 2nd edition of virtual way, okay? So I'm Liane, I'm professor at the Federal Institute of Paraíba. And my sign is this.
Yeah. So starting everything again. So it's normal. Live transmission, it happens. As I told you, I'm Tiago Costa. I'm part of the EPPI team, one of the coordinators. And I'm so happy to have you all here today to make this 7th edition of EPPI. The 2nd online edition, yes. So I'm so happy to be here. So welcome you all. Thank you, Poliana, to be here. Thank you, everyone. So I hope you are going to have a very, very nice event.
Thiago, just to remind you something, we can't speak so fast, right?
Yeah, it's true. Yes, because we have the interpreters, yes. And we need to speak in a speed that it's nice for them to make this interpretation.
Yes. And guys, we are both here together because we have been already vaccinated and tested from COVID-19.
Yes,
okay, so we
don't
are safe.
worry, we are safe. So we are double-shooted, yes, with vaccination, yes. And we tested negative for COVID-19. So don't worry. That's why we are here together. And I'd like to say thank you, Liane, to be here with me today.
Oh my God. Okay, let's start talking about this because we're going to cry. We have been friends for many years, so it's a pleasure to be here with you guys. Thank you so much for the invitation.
Oh, thank you for being here.
By the way, Thiago, I'm from Rio de Janeiro. You are from Recife. We are here in João Pessoa. Do you think there are people from other places here?
I think so, Liane. Yes, so we would like you to type in the chat, where are you watching us from? Please. So do you think we can find people from Rio de Janeiro, Cariocas?
Yes. From Pernambuco?
From Pernambuco, from Recife, maybe.
Paraíba.
Paraíba, yes, I think so.
Do you think there are people from other countries?
Maybe.
So guys, just type. You want to know where you are from and where are you watching us from? Okay, so
let's check the chat.
Yes, can we do it?
Yes.
Right.
Let's,
sure.
Just a minute, guys.
We are very curious.
I have to.
Travou.
Really? We are frozen?
We are.
Why?
Internet.
Just a minute, guys. We are saving problem here.
Oh, no, you're back.
You're back? Yes. So.
Ei, Pernambuco, Guarabira, Brasília,
João Pessoa,
Teresina,
Tocantins.
My God, aqui da Ban, você tá pro Sergipe.
Sergipe, great.
Cabedelo.
We are here. I'm going to check. Piauí, yes, we have people from Piauí.
João Pessoa. That's perfect. So, guys, you are really welcome here with us. Okay, thank you so much for being here with us. on the 7th edition of the conference. I was thinking about something, Thiago, that is a kind of feeling that you have been facing a lot.
Yes.
Gratitude. So we are so grateful and thankful to have you here. We are in the middle of a pandemic time. It's not easy for anyone, especially with us. We are working online with different and difficult situations in each school, university, or federal institute. So because of this, we have to thank you all, and we also have to thank our partners, because without them, the 7th EPPI wouldn't be here right now.
So, as Liane told us, said that we are facing this difficult time together. Yes, there is a saying that stronger we are together. So I hope we can meet again very soon. But while we can't, we are having this online event, and always have a lot of people to say thank you. So gratitude is something really important. And I would like to start with the interpreters be here on a Saturday morning, on Saturday afternoon, because we are going to have the event during the whole day. So thank you, Polana. Thank you, Clayton. He's going to be the next interpreter. We are so happy you are here. And I have a list of people that I have to say thank you. So excuse me, because I have to read. But before I read the list, I would like to say thank you to my team, the faculty team. I'm in behalf of them here today. So Professor Elizabeth Sotomayor, Franciele, Carolina, Rafaela, and all the people who have been through FOPLI, like Mariana, and all the students who are this year with us at FOPLI. So thank you, guys. I'm so grateful for everything you have done for FOPLI and EPPI this year, all right? And it's very important for us to say thank you to Universidade Federal de Brasília, UNB, Universidade Federal do Agreste de Pernambuco, UFAP, Efficiency Consultoria em Inglês, University of British Columbia, EDU 360 Global, Cambridge Assessment English, Cambridge University Press, Stanford, StreamYard, yes, EPPI, because you are here today, and we are also like to say thank you to the photographer Leandro Linhares, who kindly gave us the permission to use some of his photographs during the marketing campaign of the 7th EPPI. Okay, so thank you all. And I would like to say the organizers of this event are FOPLI, CCHLA, UFPB, Federal University of Paraíba, the Department of Foreign Languages, DELEM, and DMI, Mediações Interculturais. So these are the departments involved in all the organization. And also Pró-Reitoria de Extensão from UFPB, because all the students, they are sponsored and they receive the grants by the Pró-Reitoria. So thank you all for this. I'm so happy to be here. Yes,
yeah,
I try to be not so emotive, yes, it's difficult. It's difficult.
I have a problem with this. Lots of emotions. Speaking of photographs, social medias, please just post on your social media and tag at FOPLI UFPB and the hashtag 7EPPI. Tiago, you said that EPPI is the organizer. And then we are having here EFOPLI. Maybe there are some people that can have these questions or doubts about EFOPLI and EPPI. Could you tell us something about them?
Yes. So it's a very good thing that you asked me to say, because EFOPLI is one of the main organizers of this event. Yes. So it's like an umbrella, and you have all the projects, all the actions together. And EPPI is the main action, So today, it's like the total happiness for people at EFOPLI. And if it's your first time here, following this event and attending this event, taking this information about EFOPLI, I have a video, Liane, here that can help to explain people what EFOPLI is and what we do. Yes. And it's been more than 7 years, because 7 years it's the EPPI anniversary, but EFOPLI started a little bit more ago. Yes. So let's watch it together, and then we come back.
Sure.
All right.
Of course.
So just a minute. Yes. It's a little bit slow.
Internet.
Oops.
I want to be Harry Potter. It would be nice, right, guys?
Again. It happens.
Where is my magical wand? Harry Potter.
The video is still playing. Where's the sound? Where's the sound, Danny? Sorry. Oh my god.
Customers. We're going to work on it.
Sorry, guys. It's the difficulty of having this live transmission.
Our plan B.
Backup plan, yes.
I love this. I need...
Let's see. Poliana, can you hear us?
Poliana, you're going to be our helper here. Can you listen to us? Yeah.
Great.
Okay, where is Harry Potter's magical wand? I want that. I told you guys, I think that you heard that. We need a wand here. Internet. That's what we have been facing.
The video is... Let's try.
And this has happening with lots of us doing our...
Yes.
The video was frozen, and also we have to change the interpreter.
Okay.
Okay.
Just change it. We are frozen.
Nossa, tá frozen demais. O teu tá online, tá no Wi-Fi, né?
Just, it's dados móveis.
Página sem resposta.
Do you guys have an internet cable? Can you connect the notebook on the cable? It's more stable than Wi-Fi.
A câmera tá travando também. Okay. We have lots of... Look at...
Sorry, you guys, we are a little frozen. Our hosts have crashed. So just wait a minute and they'll be back shortly.
Aqui, it's okay.
Now it's okay.
We're here.
We are back. Are we back?
We're back. Yes.
My God. Lots of just emotion taking me over.
Sorry,
Please,
sorry.
Beyoncé, come here and sing with us Emotions. Or Roberto Carlos,
Okay.
Emoções.
When you see
Guys, thank you so much for keeping your YouTube video with you here and with us. Thank you so much. And Clayton, welcome aboard.
Oh my God.
Okay.
We were breathless here. I'm so sorry. Yeah? So
Breathless but not speechless because we have been talking all the time.
yes. So unfortunately, we couldn't show the video about EPPI,
Yeah.
but we can say that it's going to be on our YouTube channel very soon. And EPPI is an extension program at the Federal University of Paraíba. I don't know if we are frozen, but we offer different actions, and as I told you, EPPI is the main action at EPPI. Okay, and do you have something to tell me about it?
Thiago, as a woman, I have lots of things to tell you. But let me ask you something because of this problem of the internet.
Mm-hmm.
We have more 2 videos.
Yes, I think we have time before.
Yeah, I know that we have time, but I don't know if we are going to get frozen again because
Yes.
of the video.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing that I would like to ask you, there is something new.
Yes, but before this, we have a message from our team. Yes. I'd like to share with the guys the message from the EPPI team before that. Just a minute.
Okay. Let's see if it's going to
Yes.
work. I need some music.
In here.
Good morning to all of the attendees of our 7th EPI, Encontro Paraibano de Professores de Inglês. My name is Elizabeth Sotomayor, and I am a professor at the Federal University of Paraíba. I am currently the General Coordinator of EPPI, Espaços para a Formação do Professor de Língua Inglesa, together with my dear friends and colleagues, Professors Tiago Costa and Franciele Martini. We also have an amazing team of grantees, volunteers, and collaborators, without whom this event would not be possible. I thank you all very much for your support. It is a great honor to have you all here with us today for the 7th edition of EPI. I can't believe it has been 7 years already since my colleagues, Professors Mariana Perez and Ana Carolina Bastos, who unfortunately could not be here with us today, planned the first version of the EPI conference. The year was 2014, and 50 teachers from the Paraíba state and surrounding municipalities came to attend seminars and teacher development sessions at the university campus of UFPB. I was not part of the EPPI team back then, but from the photo archives, we can tell that EPI was indeed a great success from year 1. However, no one would imagine it would become this huge annual event with people from 4 corners of Brazil and participants from all over the world taking part. Can you believe it would come this far, Franciele? 7 years and still counting?
I know, Elizabeth. Doesn't time fly? I was not part of the first EPI conference either. Just like you, I became a member some years later. But I'm sure many of you out there remember the plenary sessions, workshops, the coffee breaks, or even the red carpet we had at UFPB, where people would come for a photo shoot and many, many smiles. I really miss those moments where we could hug one another, enjoy each other's company over a warm cup of coffee. I'm sure we'll have the opportunity of getting together and catch up in person very soon. But here we are again, October 2021, another online EPI conference, and so many people enrolled. This year, we have many great surprises in stock for you. Right, Nicole?
Exactly, Professor Francielli. Last year was already a big hit. We had participants from all over Brazil and also the US, China, Bangladesh, Canada, and Japan. Because of the pandemic, many people who had never been to an EPI conference before could attend the online event for the first time. Even though it was new and challenging for many people back then, it was also very democratic. We managed to line up incredible professionals from Brazil and abroad to discuss important themes such as inclusive education, anti-racist teaching pedagogies, English medium instruction and context, multicultural classrooms in language learning, and so much more. Needless to say, our 2021 edition of EPI has many surprises in stock for us. Could you share one of them with us, Renato?
The first of all the surprises that we have for 2021 is our new logo, Nicole. It was already a but modernized and other colors were added. The creators, David, John Vitor, John Ryan, and Milena, they're all part of the FLP team. And like me, they're also members of the organizing committee. I guess they can tell you a little bit more about of how this idea came into being and the whole process. I mean, great job, you guys. The logo looks fantastic. John, can you tell us how this idea came into being and what inspired you to devise such an amazing logo in the first place?
Of course I can, Renato. It surely was a great pleasure to be one of the creators of our brand new logo. And a cool thing about it is that it all started with a suggestion by Professor Ana Carolina Bastos, who unfortunately could not be with us this morning. But Professor Ana Carolina wanted our logo to allude to the city of João Pessoa. And in case of you guys don't know, João Pessoa is the easternmost point of the Americas, and it means that it is where the sun rises first. So the colors and shades of orange were also suggested by other team members, and the result of it was this incredible work that we have in here. In fact, everything we do in this program, it is the result of joint collaboration, like the whole idea behind API, for example. So, in other words, together we are stronger. Milena, do you share my opinion?
Yes, I do indeed, John. For me personally, it was awesome to be part of the creation team with you, John Ryan, David, and João Victor. In fact, many hands make light work, right? Anyways, I guess the colors and the shapes of the logo are aligned with the concept. With João Pessoa in mind, it is impossible not to think about its natural beauties like the sunset and the beaches. Hope you all enjoy it as much as we did creating it. But I am sure that the new Apple logo is not the only surprise this year. What are the other attractions for the seventh Epi, João Vitor? Can you tell us?
Many more, Milena, apart from the great talks by experts in the language education field, such as Professor Kleber da Silva from the University of Brasilia and Julia Hedges and Nell No from EDU 360 Global. We also have invited former FOPLE members and EPI attendees to be our speakers this year. For the final plenary, for example, we'll have a no-time collaborator from FOPLE who got his master's degree in Canada and is taking a Ph.D. at the same institution, the University of British Columbia. Did you know that the teacher Jonathan Ferreira is a new FB alumni from the class of 2018, David?
Actually, did John Vitor was an undergraduate student at UFB some years ago. He got involved in some teacher development workshops with professors Mariana Perez and Ana Carolina Bastos, which are the creators of FOPLE. And since then, he has never stopped collaborating with us. It is truly amazing to see the transformative and enduring power of education and how it can connect teachers, whether they are pre-service or in service, with the academics of the field. And we're also very happy to see how EPPI is uniting, inspiring, and motivating language education professionals in making a difference in their students' lives. Right, Igor?
I couldn't agree more, David. And as João Vitor mentioned, there are other UFPB alumni who have been invited to our seventh EPIC conference this year due to their incredible work in the field of language teaching. Teachers Ellen Castelo Branco and Lucas Veras were also undergraduate students at UFPB some years ago, just like us. They do amazing work together about the potentialities and connections between literature, media, and language teaching. I guess they also attended the sessions promoted by FOPLI in the past, and today they are with us at EPI. So it's very inspirational to hear a story like this. But what else can we expect for today, Saulo?
Well, Igor, if I were you, I wouldn't miss the other recorded talks. Professor Joelton Duarte, who is also a former UFPB professor, but now works at UFAP, Universidade Federal do Agreste de Pernambuco, will be presenting a talk on materials development in English language teaching, together with Alane Magalhães, Maria Lara Lucena, and Paula Giovana Vilela. Did I forget to mention anyone, Sarah?
I guess you did, Saulo. Teacher Alberto Costa, a long-time collaborator of FOPLI and a very close friend of some of the team members, is also going to be in one of the EPIC conferences today. Alberto has been working for Cambridge Assessment Manager Americas and has a vast experience in Cambridge exams. It is certainly going to be an enjoyable talk. I am sure everybody out there will love to hear what Alberto has to say. So we can definitely say it is going to be a special day to all language teachers and language learners out there. Right, Professor Tiago?
Definitely, Sarah. It's going to be a very special day. I hope. Yes?
Yes, full of emotions. My God. Together we are stronger.
Mhm.
I'm getting goosebumps here. So let's start our lineup with the opening plenary. From the aquarium to the open sea, critical perspective in the education of English teacher in Brazil, with Professor Kleber Silva from the Federal University of Brasilia. Professor Kleber.
Welcome, Professor Kleber.
Good morning.
So, Professor Kleber, he's currently working at the University of Brasilia, professor, associate professor, and researcher in the Department of Linguistics of the Institute of Language Studies. Also, he presently coordinates the Directorate of Languages, Human Rights, and Diversities of the Foundation of Scientific and Technological Enterprises of the University of Brasilia, whose research interests connect with language, human rights, marginalized minorities, diversities, and technologies in a critical and decolonial perspective. Without further ado, Kleber, the screen is all yours. Welcome.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Thiago Costa and Liane Veloso, for your kind presentation. I'm so happy to participate in this important event. I'd like to congratulate you. It's an honor for me to participate in this event, and I'm sure that it is a wonderful opportunity, to reflect about our action in the classroom. It's an honor for me to be here. I'd like to share my screen, and after I'd like to continue to talking about it. Can be? I will try to do it now.
Ready when you are, okay, Kleber?
Yeah.
To share your screen here. I think it's coming here. So, see you in 5 minutes, all right?
Yeah. Great. It is okay for you?
Yeah. So,
Wonderful.
have a nice talk.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. First of all, I'd like to thank you for your attention. It's an honor for me to participate in this important event. I'd like to to thank you, Professor Elizabeth Sotomayor Mendes and Tiago Eliane for this invitation. And Clayton and is our interpreter. Probably, I'm sure that he will rock. Thank you, Clayton, for making our event accessible. Okay. Well, in this moment, I live in Brasilia, is the capital of Brazil. In this moment, when you're talking about Brasilia, it's not good because when you talk about Brasilia, you have a social representation that people to make politics. But in Brasilia, there is some groups of professors and researchers to develop language policies and defend our linguistics education in our context. Well, I intend to talk about from the aquarium to the open sea, critical perspective in the education of English teachers in Brazil. Well, this picture show my intention with this lecture. It is to talk about my experience that I have in the University of Brasilia to develop some some critical researching with teachers in the public school in our context. Well, I'd like to partnership special thanks to GECAL. It is a critical group of researchers in the University of Brasilia, Grupo de Estudos Críticos e Avançados em Linguagem, and I'd like to thank canal YouTube Prof. Formação from Katia Martins from New York University help us to develop research in critical applied linguistics in our context. Well, I'd like to start this conference with some idea, Celani's idea. In according to Celani, the purpose of teacher education is not to reduce uncertainty by means of the routes indicated by the old maps, but rather to encourage an attitude of researching even outside the map so that it's possible to find a place searching for. It's not in any map the true place, whose search always leads us forward and upwards, and our capacity to create them within ourselves and especially to make them make sense to our students. Well, I consider this so important. Our purpose, like a teacher, educator, it is important, to encourage our students, to learn and to communicate in one language. Well, this picture show this idea from Maria Antonieta Bacelani. Well, I'd like to present the overview of my presentation. First, I'd like to share some experience or some story about the language teaching in Brazil. It is my aquarium, okay? It's based on my aquarium. And after, I'd like to present what is challenging to overcome or the status of English teaching in Brazil schools. In according to research that I developed in Brasilia, I'd like to show what is missing in our context in the pre-service education for language teachers and in-service education for language teachers. And after, I'd like to show some implication, and the last part, I'd like to present the conclusion of my presentation. Okay? Is it clear for you? Is okay for you? Yes? Okay. Well, the story of language teaching in Brazil. There is some stories that you can check in some research in applied linguistics, like language learning acquisition models did not work for me. Search for first-person accounts, experience as an incident, students first, teachers next, or holistic view of language teaching and learning. Well, where are I talking about it? Well, if you ask me, Kleber, where am I talking about it? Well, I'm a critical applied linguistics. Well, what's the conception of the critical applied linguistics? What's the critical applied linguistics in the global south? Well, in according to Muita Lopes, 2016 and 2006, there is some characteristics of the critical applied linguistics. Critical applied linguistics, it is hybrid, interdisciplinary, progressive, mixed. All of these, you have a politics perspective. Well, for me, critical applied linguistics in the global south is not only a field of research or study for the application of linguistic theories, but it is a language field that has some characteristics. There is interdisciplinary, transgressive, hybrid, and mixed research field. Well, applied linguistics, in my conception, is concerned with some the most emotional important issue. Well, for me, the education of children is so important. The rights of the last further is so important. The stable balance of culture and language is so important. The effects of technology on communication is so important. In according to Cook, there is many voice speaking to applied linguistics. You have to listen to all of them and speak with your own voice. It is important to listen the voice of our students. It is so important to listen the voice of our teachers. It is so important to listen the voice of our community. According to Lekech Makalela and Trinidad Luvo, it is so important to listen the voice of the global south. It is so important to do this. Well, but what is the conception that I defend of the critical applied linguistics in the global south? Well, in according to Rosane Rocha Pessoa, critical applied linguistics is characterized by a constant relationship between thought, desire, and action. And it is important to establish dialogue with some scientific fields, like critical theories, feminists, post-colonialism, post-structuralism, and anti-racism pedagogy. It's so important to establish this dialogue. Well, I remember I organized one book in 2015, Politics and Language Policies in Brazil. And Raja, Kanavide Rajgopalan, in my book that I organized with the group or a team of critical applied linguistics, Cristine Nicolaides, Cláudia Rocha, and Rogério Tílio, Raja discussed about the language policies and policy language. And according to him, it is a diffuse and a confused concept in Brazil. It's so complex, this in Brazil. Well, I'd like to share some questions that I'd like to motivate you thinking about it. Well, who are the language policy maker in our context? Who are decisions made on language teacher education policies in Brazil? What is the role of the citizen in the elaboration of these policies? How to build policies based on the engagement of different social groups in the discussion what is to be privileged? Well, I consider this question so important to really thinking about it. It is so important to meditate. It is so important to develop research and critical applied linguistics to have some answer about these questions that I consider that so important. Well, I'm sure that the studies and research about experience in the global south can help us to build another language policy and policy language in our context. And according to Laura Biccoli, 2010, an experience, it is a process because it has to do with circumstance, dynamics, emotional, and relationship that are lived in the particular environment of interaction, the English language class, which, as its narrate, loses its enhancements, becomes singularly meaningful to be experienced, playing a role in his or her teaching or learning process. According to Laura Micoli, it is so important the experience, the student experience, the teacher experience, the community experience. Well, well, in according to Laura Micoli, it is important to check the student's experience. The learning process happens in the interaction. The language classroom as a short-term culture, it is so important to develop or data collected over on academic term. Ethnography approach to data collection to use, for example, videotapes, viewing, section, intervals, research journals, notes, and so on. Well, in according to Laura Micoli, it is important to develop a phenomenological approach data analysis. What's meaning, structure, and a sense of lived experience. It is a phenomenon for this person or group of people, in according to Van Manen and Motsaka. Well, in according to her, it is important to check the teaching process. It is important to understand um, this complex way, not way, the atmosphere that one person acquire or use or learning one language. Well, for her, these things it's so important: the teacher experience and the student experience. But in accordance to Mikuli, in our classroom, you have a classroom experience and you have a direct experience, and after you have a indirect experience. In the direct experience, you have a cognitive or pedagogical experience or factors or variables. You have a social, that's so important, and affective. In the direct experience, you have a contextual, a personal, a conceptual, and the future features or variables that's so important for her. Well, in this direct experience, you have a collective individual to develop or to acquire one language and so on. Well, according to Mikuli, you have to create a kind of mandala in our classroom. In other words, you have a challenging classroom, you have a challenging teacher, and after you have a kind of the student challenger. The challenging of foreign classroom language teaching learning is based on about this. You need to modify our classroom, modify our minds like a teacher, and try to modify or to do a transformation of our students' mind. It is important to do it. Well, Asher materialize my conception about teacher and language learners in Brazil. In accordance to Asher, in this picture or this image or this photo, yes, you don't know who it is the teacher or who is the students. Well, in our classroom, the student can teach the teacher, and the teacher can teach the students. This interaction, you can build some knowledge about to use our own language to act in our society. Well, I love it to, to tell you some story. Well, I'd like to share one experience that I have in my aquarium. And I like to check it is my story or it's your story. Well, let's check it about it. Once upon a time, language teaching, and a book that was closed on the table. the famous sentence, the books is on the table. Well, and the words that emanate from that book were control, conditional, assimilation, repetition, imitation, over-evaluation of form in foreign culture. And then we decided that language is communication, and everyone communicate in English class. The person in the classroom, you ask, "What's your name?" The people say, "My name is Tanana." Oh, this person know English. This person speak English so well. Well, language is communication, and we teachers must be creative, patient, dynamic, friendly, experienced, competent. In other words, like a superheroes. English teachers in Brazil, it is a superheroes. And and we, English teacher, wait so students, studios, recipes, cooperative, participative, educated, disciplined, and in other words, mini superheroes. To be a teacher, English teacher in our context, it's necessary to be a heroes. And to be a student of English in our school, it is necessary to be a mini superheroes. Well, teachers, well, professors, well, research in a critical applied linguistics. The book, it is still on the table. There is a mismatch. But now, in these pandemic times, the books is not still on the table. The book is on the tablet. When you check the book is on the table or the book is on the tablet, the approach that many teachers valorize, it is pretty much the same. The language structure, the language is the communication, and so on. Now, come on, we are going to defend. There is no way to separate language and culture. That culture integration should be a part of language teaching, broadening students' horizons and world views. The teacher should prepare the student to be a citizen of the world, critical and aware. That's the theoretical variable or perspective that all of you, including me, defend. But in our context, we arbor our language teaching. We have thinking pumpkins versus bouncing pumpkins. In other words, in my context, in my aquarium, there is a avacalization. Many people, many cities of Brazil, when you have the opportunity to watch this movie, Slumdog Millionaire, think that this movie talk about the Indian culture or the Indian language. But when you interact a person from India, this movie represent one part of India. It is a stereotypes that you maintain about Indian language or Indian culture, or we carnivalize the language teaching in our context. Well, the problem is this: in my context, in my aquarium, I don't know that it's your aquarium. In my aquarium, we arbor our language teaching. You have avocalization, and you cannibalize our language teaching. And to check, well, let's continue with this argument. To be a teacher in our context, you created some profiles of a language teacher in Brazil. There is 4 profiles. A professional, to be a teacher is necessary, English teacher is necessary to be a professional, meets current requirement and expectation. Reflective, that thinks, self-access, and with this means of overcome. Or communicational, a call to teach in communication for a communication approach. And nowadays, it's so common people to talk, oh, I'm a critical professional. I'm a critical. But the question that I'd like to, to ask you what's this? What's about the critical professional? Well, in according to Volquina Montemor, it is a great scholar from the University of São Paulo. She shares some question that I consider so important. Well, the first question: what is critical? It is important to be critical. It's everyone critical. Do you identify yourself as a critical person? What's some evidence of criticism in a person's social practice, in this case of teacher, language teacher? Well, teachers, colleagues, friends, I consider this question so important. It is necessary to rethink, to meditate about what's the critical. It is important to be critical. Is everyone critical, and so on. Well, in accordance to Volquina Montemor, there is some characteristics that you consider so important to be a critical. For example, in accordance to her, a critical professional of English teacher, or in this case, an English teacher, tries to go beyond the direction given by the author of the text and reflects if the present concept makes sense. Listen attentive to the different discourse, reflects about them instead of judge them, or a temperamental or controversial person doesn't keep to herself what she thinks is obvious. Indignation usually overflows with the types of person. When she express or he express an opinion directly, or even he tries to impose his ideology on the whole world, or cost and shows your position of a particular issue without fear of expressing himself or herself. Well, in according to Valkyria Montemor, that I agree with her, there is two things that I'd like to mention. There is a different conception or different sense of criticism and criticism. A criticism, a criticism is a link to be criticism that result for the studies and knowledge leading to assessment provided by reputable experts as a critical of art, musical, cinema, and theater is the criticism. The criticize is another thing. It is to refer to social perception that doesn't not depend of the schooling of the nation specialization. Well, now when you check in our context, many people consider that I'm so critical. I'm a critical. I know some theories of critical studies. But when you investigate the practice of these teachers, that is not critical. Now, I consider that so important to challenge our context, our linguistic context. Well, I'd like to share some information about it. The change of the status of English teaching and learning in Brazil schools. Well, in our context, it's so difficult to teach because you have a large classes, you have international groups. English is not valuable by institution, colleagues, and students. Teachers feel worthless, unfortunately, in our context. Well, I consider that so important to rescue our identity. To be a teacher in our context, it is a political act. It is a polite perspective. Well, it is necessary, in my view, to rescue our knowledgeable professional, to try to respond to challenging colleague and students, is aware of leader and transform roles in our society. Well, in my point of view, in according to my aquarium, in my research that I developed in Brasilia, I believe that you can have the same experience in your aquarium, it's necessary to have a sense of the social responsibility. It's so important to have this. Paulo Freire's theories or pedagogies can inspire to transform our classrooms. In according to him, there is four dimension of transformation. The number one, learning to reflect and lead, beginning with ourselves. Well, learning to reflect and lead, build personal responsibility, explore values, beliefs, meaning of experience. The number two, beginning with ourselves. Change doesn't come from the outside, but from within. Remaking the school culture. School is not about learning context. School is not a ritual to be a member of the community. English teaching is the practice. The task it is what they should do will do with English. The story that they will write by being user, not learning. Fighting towards the change of the status of English in our schools. And the last one, according to Freire, pedagogy or epistemology or ontology, become a professional. Find your voice as a competent teacher. Being your best. Developing teacher autonomy, not screaming around director, colleagues, and students. Well, I'd like to present some implication, and after I'd like to conclude my presentation. Well, there is some implication that I'd like to share with you based on my aquarium that it is important to expand to the open sea. The social identity and professional identity have to be a part of teacher-developed course of a continuing education program. I consider that so important. Well, the social responsibility is a fancy way of promoting something quite old. Ethical action, action is our life, thinking about others. And goals, changing the state of affairs, more respectful relationship in the school, or more important teachers, more successful classrooms. Well, to finish my presentation, I'd like to reflect or to share some reflections. Volquina MONTE-MÓR and Guimarães Menezes wrote an article that I consider so important in the Revista Brasileira de Linguística Aplicada to talk about this critique. Afterward, still critique. It is the title of the article. There is some question that I consider so important. Let's check. Number one, what is that is Paulo Freire lands you, academic, still advocate for critical education? Have had all of the Freire theories and reflection, have you implement them in our education programs already? The question. Look at this question, so deeply question. What's the path in the educational language teacher to follow for South America in the face of rapid change that the world has been suffering in recent times? Well, unfortunately, in our America, we live in crisis in Colombia, Ecuador, Peru, Bolivia, Chile, Venezuela, Paraguay, Uruguay, Argentina, and in Brazil. In Brazil, we live in a deeply crisis. Unfortunately, our country now is not valorize our language policies, don't valorize our language, don't valorize a foreign language, don't worry about the language in the world. It is, it is so complicated, the situation that you live in our context now. Well, to be a teacher in our context in these uh, pandemic times, in the Bolsonaro's times, it is for heroes. To be a teachers, English teacher in our context, it is to be activist. It is to be a dreamer. It is to try to modify our society because we intend to modify our classroom. Because when you modify or transform our classroom, you can transform our society. Well, the secret to modify our context, in my point of view, it is to create some activities, some events, some action to reflect Paulo Freire's theories. And I'd like to finish my presentation to share some final words. Well, in accordance to Kanavide Rajgopala, the important thing is not to forget that ultimately our students need to acquire mastery of foreign language for their own good and to become more able to meet the new challenges that the world poses on their way. There are the ones who have to learn to master the English language, never letting the English language begin to master them. I'd like to interact in English, not to another uh, person to say, Kleber is American, or Kleber is South America, or Kleber is from one country speak English. No, I'd like to speak in English to show in English what I think or act like a Brazilian citizen. It is important to modify our vision about this. Well, Paulo Freire's words. Existence, because it's human, cannot be mute, silent, not nor can it be nurtured by false words, but by through words, with which man transforms the world. To exist humanly is not to pronounce the word, is not to modify it. The pronounced word, in turn, turns again problematized to pronounce subject, to demand from him a new pronunciation. Look at this. It is not in silence that men are made, but in word, in work, in action reflection. Oh, this is so interesting. Now, to finish my presentation, I'd like to share one thing that I consider so important. According to Felix do Luvo and Lequete Macalela is my partners, academic partners in the University of Johannesburg, recenter silent voice from the global south. It is important to valorize our knowledge in the global south. It is important to rescue the culture of the global south. It is important to listen the voice, the communities from the global south. And to do this, I have one possibility. In accordance to Suresh Kanagarajan, to do this, you need to think global and act global. That is considered so important. Well, I finished my presentation. Thank you for this invitation. It's an honor for me. You have my email if you want to keep in touch. It's an honor for me to interact with you. And I'd like to congratulate this team, EPPI teams, to organize this event to contribute to think global and to act global. Thank you, Thiago. Thank you, Liane. And I'd like to congratulate the interpreters. I'm so emotional because to organize a one event, it's hard work. It's so hard to do it. And you, Thiago and Liane, you're so sensible because you think about the deaf community in our society. And now to have these interpreters, for me, it's an honor. And I'd like to congrats in name of Clayton for this initiative to be accessible this event. And I'd like to, to establish more academic partnership with you. And I'd like to congratulate you for this event. Thank you for this wonderful opportunity to be here with you.
Professor Kleber, we are dazzled by your words. My God, I don't know. Really, I'm again getting my goosebumps. I think I'm going to SAMU after this. It's so amazing. And I don't know if you have already checked the chat, but there were lots of kind messages. There were a lot of people talking about your speech. You as a researcher, a professor. I have to confess that you are one of my idols.
No.
I remember, my God, okay, it's just parenthesis. I remember the first time I met you, I was in a congress, and Betania was my professor, that, and then she was with me, and I said, Betania, that's Kleber, I have to take a picture with him.
No, I wish to take a picture of you. I wish to take a picture of you.
It was 2015.
Yeah.
My God, long time ago. And then when you were showing the book of language policies and policies language, I remember it was the first book that I read. We studied the whole book at Nepal. At UFPB, because it has lots of interesting articles about language, about how we face differences in teaching English in Brazil. It was so nice. So guys, please, if you have this curiosity, go for this book, right?
Yeah, so I have no words to express my gratitude for you, Kleber. Yes, so I think people received a very inspiring speech today. Yes, and I have to say thank you for everything. I was trying to remember the first time we met. I think it was at the airplane. I was coming from Uberlândia, and
I remember.
we sat together, and you asked me, do you know Professor Betania Medrado? And I said, of course I know, yes. So, and since back then, we got friends. We became friends, sorry. And I remember that I visited Brasilia twice, 2 years in a row, in the conference CIELIN in 2017 and 2018. And we never lost our contact anymore. Yeah, so it's been a friendship that we started years ago, and then you are collaborating with EPPI, so it's nice, it's perfect. So thank you a lot for this thoughtful speech. I think people here, the teachers, they received a lot of food for thought. Yes, do you agree, Leonie?
I
Do you
totally
share my
agree.
opinion?
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank
And
you.
we have some questions here. We have some time to answer. And let's see, Leonie.
Yeah, can I go with this one? It is a question made by Rafaela Carla. Okay, Kleber. How can we improve our critical view? What's your opinion about this?
Well, it is a
We need
great
some
question.
hints.
Yeah, a great question. Liane, Thiago, in our area in the critical applied linguistics, there is many researchers to try to define what's a critical. What's the critical? But in my point of view, it is important to do this. It is important, but it's not enough. In my point of view, it's necessary to have a critical praxeology. And I believe that when a teacher show that the critical perspective it is so important, it is necessary to think deeply how to modify, how transform your action in the classroom. And I believe that when you keep in touch with the situation in our society, when you reflect about this, you will increase your critical perspective. For example, in our context, Thiago knows about it, the person like me, a black person, suffering a lot in our context. In some weeks ago, I had a terrible experience, the worst experience in my life, when a person to intervene in my conference to say bad words about my race, about my culture, about my family. It was disgusting situation. And when I live it or had this experience, I increase my critical my critical perspective. I try to use this experience in my classroom to encourage some students to modify the conception about this. In other words, Leonie, that you consider so important, for me now, it's not important to define this construct, define, in accordance to fulano de tal, it is this, fulano de tal. No, not important for me. The most important thing, in my point of view, it is to create a kind of praxeology, a critical praxeology. When you created this critical praxeology, of course, that you increase your critical perspective, your critical conception. That's my opinion about this question. What do you think?
Yes, I agree. I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
Yes. And it was a pity about the incident you've been through. I'm so sorry for these people, these
Yeah,
terrible people. Yes. I hope you
yeah.
have recovered.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
was
I'm so happy now. I'm better now. For
Yes.
2 weeks, I have a fever all days. I cry all the time, and
yeah.
I took some medicine to deal with the situation because it's so
Yeah.
terrible. But now, Thiago, my philosophy in my in my in my life is not to treat the same way that this person treat me.
Yes.
Now I have a war, but it's not a physical war. I
Hmm.
have a ideological war, and
Yes.
this person want to destroy me. I want to use this thing, motivation to build another thing. Another person hate a black person, but I love
Hmm.
human ones. I try to to modify.
Yeah.
It is the way that I consider to deal with the prejudice that you have in our context, in Brazilian context.
I'm so sorry because of that, because I was in the conference, Kleber, and it
Yeah,
was the beginning was so interesting, so amazing because I took a picture of it because there were lots of very intelligent people. Do you
yeah,
know when you are looking at a book and you go to the references and you see all the great guys and all the
yeah,
great books they have already written, they were there. And then when this fact happened, my God, I said, come on, I can't believe it. We are
yeah,
here in the middle of great people that are trying to change not only our classroom, but talking about people
yeah.
feeling.
That's it.
And I
Yeah,
think I'm going to add something to your ideological war. It's about human war because you have to give rights to everyone.
Hmm.
That's very important to believe in ourselves. And people don't know how they hurt and they can kill people with those
yeah,
disgusting comments that we can't face this and don't feel anything. We feel really bad. So I'm so sorry
yeah,
with that. It was not good for anyone.
yeah,
But let me tell you something because you said in the middle of your presentation, Once upon a time, and then I was thinking about this. Oh my God, once upon a time, there was an amazing, inspiring lecture here at the 7th EPI with Kleber. It was like this. It's so nice to have you here. Let's go to another question.
Yes.
Just one more question. Okay, Kleber.
Yeah,
We're going to
it's wonderful.
exploit you.
Yeah, it's wonderful. Thank
To
you.
forever and ever. Is this one here?
We don't know who asked it, but we have a question here. Kleber, in your opinion, does the teacher's background reflect on his or her degree of being critical about their teaching? So again,
It's a good
does the teacher
question.
background reflect? Yes. Do you want me to repeat?
It's a
No,
good
it's okay.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I consider this question so great, so good. It is a
Okay.
good question. Well, Thiago, Liane, in my opinion, in my point of view, it's based on the research that I developed in Brasilia, in the research that many great professors developed in Brazil. It is necessary to create some variables or principles that person to the teachers valorize the background, the social background. Unfortunately, we sometimes deny our background, our social background. I'd like to use my example. Can I? Can I? For example, I'm from São Paulo. I'm from the small city in São Paulo. Barretos is a country city. Many people rodeo. It's so common to have this sertanejo and so on. And I love to dance. Beatriz, it is my dancer. When a person organize some Beatriz Rodrigues when organize some event, Beatriz and I dance all the time. And another opportunity when you have a event here in your city, I'd like to present with Beatriz. But I remember, Thiago, Liani, when I teach, when I taught, I I didn't consider my background, my social background, and in the teacher education, sometimes you don't valorize or promote the social background of our students. The first thing that I consider so important to develop a critical view, it is to valorize the social background. I didn't understand the point that I'd like to mention about it. It is so important to valorize this. Oh, Thiago, Liane, I'd like to share one experience that I have in Brasilia. I developed one project in 2015 until 2020. The students of the graduation at the University of Brasilia, to go to Italy, to go to University of Roma, Lecce Pescara, not to learn Italian, but to teach the variety of Portuguese to Italian. For me, in my point of view, it's necessary to have this mobility. It's not, to learn a hegemonic language like English or Italian or and so on, but it is to learn about this language, but to teach their language, their varieties, and their culture. In this example that I'd like to share with you, it is I'd like to I consider that it is important the students or the professors to valorize the language that he speaks or they speak, or the culture that they have, and to establish a dialogue with the language that he have or she or he has, and to learn another language, another culture. Is it clear for you my answer about this? I consider that the social background so important, and teachers, the English teachers in Brazil, need before to learn before to learn one foreign language and before to teach a foreign language, this person needs to valorize their own language in one culture. Before to do this, you establish a criticality or a decolonial perspective. Don't never denied our language and our culture. Valorize or promote our language and to learn or teach another language. It is important to have this point of view about language and culture. What do you think?
Can you hear us, Kleber?
Yeah.
We are
Can you hear me?
in the middle of a trouble, internet trouble, as usual. Yes.
Frozen. Let it go.
Here you go.
Perfect answer.
Frozen.
Perfect answer, Kleber. So we have just one more question because unfortunately we don't have much time.
Can I say just, can I add something, just parenthesis?
Yes.
Talking about our language, our mother language, our mother tongue, is about accent. The other thing is about accent. People say, oh, I want to speak English with the natural accent. No, come on. We have so beautiful accents here in Brazil. Why don't we use them in English? It's natural. It's about our identity. It's much more than language. It's about identity. It's showing who you are, right?
Yeah, that's
Sure.
the point. I remember one article. So sorry. I remember one article from Ana Maria Ferreira Barcelos. She wrote one article. What's wrong with Brazilian accent? If I'd like to know, and after I can share with you, what's the wrong with Brazilian accent? You need to speak English like a Brazilian accent because it's not necessary to deny your identity to speak one language. That is the point that I'm thinking about it. I'm so pragmatic.
Yes. Okay, and Lucas Santos, he said, Professor, it was enchanting to meet you this morning. Can we have hope in times like these ones? Can our critical practice, even attacked, help us get through this moment?
It's a great question. Yeah, I believe that it is necessary 1 hour to have explanation about this question. But I'd like to share some thought about it. Lucas, we are Brazilian. We are Brazilian. The Brazilian, in my point of view, there is 3 characteristics: autonomy. We suffering a lot with oppression, but you have a hope. Well, these things, I consider that it is a kind of pedagogy of the autonomy, a pedagogy of autonomy, a pedagogy of oppression, a pedagogy of hope. When you talk about this, I recognize Paulo Freire's theories or Paulo Freire's pedagogy. Of course, that our context oppress us all the times, day by day, month by month, year by year. But like Brazilians, we have some autonomy to deal with this. But we, Lucas, we are Brazilian. You have a hope, a hope. And now I'm sure that in this moment, I don't have a power to modify the world, but I have a power to modify my classroom. When I modify my classroom, I believe that we can have a kind of a chaos, a chaotic. You know, Tiago, Eliane, and Poliana, when a butterfly to do something in the part of the world, there is a hurricane in another part of the world. When you modify your classroom, of course that you have a hurricane in our society. That I consider that so important in these difficult times to have this conception. Uh, I'm a dreamer, like Paulo Freire was a dreamer. A dreamer wants to modify uh, the context this person it is inside. And when you have another dreamers, you have a collective of dreamers. And these collective of dreamers have a hope to try to transform the classrooms. In this classroom, we can transform our society. I'm sure that I not have doubts about it. In the 10 years later, you have a society more conscious, more critical, more respectful than a society that I have today. And next year, you have an opportunity to elect another person to promote or to respect the minorities in our context. This decision, it's all in our hand. You need to thinking about critically and try to modify our classroom and try to elect a person to want to represent us better than this person try to represent us. This person don't represent me, never, never. But I'm sure that in short time you have a
Yes.
possibility to elect another person to represent us.
Yeah.
So thank you, Kleber. Thank you a lot.
Yeah,
Yes.
we are so grateful to have you in the beginning of a holiday, because the first day of a long holiday, right?
Yeah.
So, Kleber, thank you so much. We wish you all good things, all good vibes. We are
Thank
always
you.
here for you. Just know that. We have here a WhatsApp group with the backstage. My God, lots of the comments here about you. So everybody is in love with you,
Thank
not
you.
just for today. I think it's forever and ever.
Yes.
Well,
For all
forever and
your
ever.
career. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
And let me tell you something. Franciele asked you have to come here because she wants to see you dancing for her.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you said that we have very good dance abilities, skills. We want you to come here to João Pessoa to dance with us, right?
Yeah.
And Mariana Perez, that is in Canada. Mari. Kisses, hugs, and so much love to you. So, Kleber, thank you so much. It was a very bright morning.
Yes, yes, yes.
Well, thank you.
So thank you,
Thank you,
everyone,
Thiago.
for
Thank
being
you. Thank
here.
you.
Everybody who is in the chat. So thank you so much. I would like to remind you that the EPPI conference continues. We have two recorded talks now. Now we have one available, yes, and at 11 o'clock we have another available talk. The first one is with teacher Alberto Costa from Cambridge Assessment English. So please watch it, comment, discuss, reflect, put your posts on our social media, hashtag 7EPPI, okay?
And tag
yes.
at EPPI UFPB.
Yes, that's it. And we see you in the afternoon.
Yeah.
For another online transmission. Yes.
Right?
Yes.
That's it. So, guys, thank you so much for having us in your house, on your job, in your work, in your office during this Saturday morning. Thank you a lot. Kleber, Clayton, Poliana, thank you so
Poliana,
much.
thank you so much. Bye-bye, everyone. Tá encerrando, peraí. It's still